know, the 90s era, the grunge era was big for you guys as well. I know, Chico, you heard Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time, and, you know, that guy right there, I don't know if I can point right, but Dave Grohl, obviously an inspiration to millions of rock stars. Yeah, you ever heard of him?
I'll have to look that up.
I guess I should.
You know, had to go through a bunch of jackasses until we finally found our favorite jackass. So here we are, yeah.
I've heard in many interviews that you guys kidnapped Jordan. Did you actually kidnap him, or was it more of the sense like, okay, you're our guy, we can't let you go?
It doesn't sound like it sounds like. If you mean like hit him over the head, stuck him in a bag, threw him in the van, and drove him to Phoenix, yes, that's what we did.
That's exactly what we did, yeah.
You can still find my face on the back of those milk cartons.
Yeah. I think it's back on like Mad Dog 2020 bottle.
Yeah, right.
No, he was just basically in another project that opened up for us a year prior. And, you know,
In Scottsdale, actually.
In Scottsdale, and he auditioned, and
we were actually calling, so we told our producer, we were just had it at our wits' end. We just decided at that point that we were going to just be two guys and hire a bass player. We hired Gunn because we couldn't find anybody that had our same sense of drive and sense of humor and could play bass and sing and write songs.
and help with the business.
Yeah. And so we called our producer, Jim Hoffman in LA, because he has a bunch of cats that come through there and play. And we knew there was one guy that we liked a lot.
Danny.
Yeah, Danny, but he was always busy, and he happened to be living with him. Yeah, we couldn't do it, and that's when we talked to Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, after the audition, we it went great. 17 or 18 songs. He learned them, went through one time, and we were literally done. We're like, okay, you're in. Let's just go. But you live in LA. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, let's go get it. So we did. And about a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, we went and grabbed him, and then we jumped right into the very first sessions of Sunshine.
Yeah, we were working with Johnny K within what? I don't know how long.
Days when I got back.
Yeah, it was little days Johnny K was showing up.
So talk about being thrown in the fire, because Johnny's not easy on you when you're making records.
No.
And we didn't know that. None of us knew that, but we learned very quickly. Kind of back to touch on what you said earlier, and it's like he really pushed us. He immediately put us in a spot where we had to kind of up our game. You know what I mean? When we were recording, it wasn't like a, you know, B or C team anymore. It's like we're in the big leagues. It's like we had to like perform like it. You know, and he does a good job of definitely pulling that out of us.
Oh yeah, and that's what you want. And another story I kind of wanted to touch on with you guys, because I found it very interesting. You know, the origin, you know, of the name The Black Moods. Because I know, Josh, you've talked about, you know, that being inspired by, because the Doors kind of described Jim Morrison as having like a black mood in a sense, as well as the Beatles with John Lennon, and that's how the name kind of came about. Like, how were you able to kind of depict those and say like, oh man, that's cool, and like how your brain was wired to say like, oh, I gotta have this name, like the Black Moods, based on, you know, two big rock and roll icons in Morrison and Lennon, and to come together and create that name to go along with the style of music you guys wanted to play.
Well, the stylistic part just kind of fell together, but I had never, I was kind of going through, really getting heavily into the Doors, and I read that book, No One Here Gets Alive. That's the first time I ever heard that phrase, of somebody being in a black mood, and it just kind of stuck with me. So wrote a song called The Black Moods, actually, which is funny, that we haven't put out yet, and because we were tossing around names at the time, so we had some really shitty ideas, you know, nothing was sticking, and just like, man, because we were making our first EP, and this is when we were 4-piece, and so we just kind of wrote these songs, and when it came down to the wire, we just decided that the Black Moods just fits us. Just, you know, we were actually back in Missouri, staying at a ranch when we wrote that song, so we were, you know, in the middle of nowhere, creek's running, we were sitting by the creek, you know, probably taking mushrooms or something, and playing acoustic guitars, and so we wrote this song, and then I saw the Beatles anthology not long after that, to where Paul McCartney referenced John Lennon, and I think that's the point where I was like, okay, this has got to be something that sticks with us, you know, so it did.